What's up, everybody? Daniel Rocks back again with our video. 1985 Starrcade, The Gathering, coming right at you. This show was broadcasted in two cities: the Greensboro, North Carolina, Greensboro Coliseum; Atlanta, Georgia, and the Albany. Yes, WrestleMania 2 was not the first to do so. In fact, Vince McMahon saw this and thought, two cities with Jim Crockett Promotions, the NWA? I bet I can do that. I can do it much better. Now, fortunately enough for us, this is nowhere near as a technical crap fest as WrestleMania 2 ended up being. Starrcade 85 goes fluently well and goes really good and fluently and nicely. There's a couple of commentary things, the commentary gets muted. Like, there's a couple of faulty things here and there, but nothing too major. You don't have an announcer going uh-oh like 100 billion times. You don't have, it's back and forth. So you're in Greensboro and then you're in the Albany, and then you're in Greensboro and back and forth again. Not like 4, 4, and 4. It's 6, and it's one here, then one there, one here, and then back again. The main event for the two big matches in the Greensboro Coliseum is the World Tag Team Steel Cage match, Tag Team Championship cage match, and that's Rock and Roll Express and then Koloffs. We also get the U.S. Heavyweight Championship belt Steel Cage I Quit match between Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard. And in the main event of the Albany Starrcade portion, and the main event overall, is Ric Flair versus Dusty Rhodes for the NWA World Heavyweight belt. So we start out in the Greensboro Coliseum with Khrushchev defeating Sam Houston. Now, Sam Houston, Ron Bass, Billy Jack Hayes are all on this show, and don't turn it off and think, well, nobody cares about these guys because in WWF they were a bunch of jabronis. Mind you, these guys actually were showcased very prominently and had a lot of time in the ring, and they were good wrestlers. I was actually heavenly surprised at how good of a worker Ron Bass was on this show. But anyways, this match was Sam Houston and Khrushchev, which was basically the weaker link of the Kozlovs, a 5 out of 10. Next up, Manny Fierez defeated Abdullah the Butcher in a Mexican death match. Now, a lot of these matches are bloody and gruesome and has a lot of stipulations to them. It's not like WCW in 2000 where everything's a stipulation just to be a stipulation for just because. No, everything's a stipulation because it warrants that. It needed to be so. There's so much tension on the show between these guys and so much shit going on. So everything is either a stipulation or has a belt on the line. This is a Mexican death match, and it's much better than the 83 one I talked about earlier. 6 out of 10. Good match. Ron Bass defeats Black Bart, the generic bastard, and it takes this bull rope match. And if Ron Bass won, he get to have J.J. Dillon a bull rope match. These are two separate matches, but I'm going to count it as one. J.J. Dillon was manager of many people, but not managing the Four Horsemen just yet. That would come like 2 weeks later. These two matches I'm counting as one, and it was great. 6 out of 10. I was pleasantly surprised that Ron Bass, that fucking generic bitch, could work. Speaking of which, we have Billy Graham defeating the Barbarian via disqualification in the worst match on the card. However, the crowd just loved it for some reason. There was an arm wrestling match that had tension. It was kind of okay. I give it a 3. Moving on. Talking about talent that was wasted in the WWF, we get Terry Taylor, the fucking Rooster, losing the Buddy Landau, the other Nature Boy. That's after. Not Ric Flair, the other Nature Boy. This was a solid match, a 6 out of 10. Terry Taylor before was a really good wrestler, and then he was just wasted with the cock-a-doodle-doo! Cock-a-doodle-doo! Next up, a 6. Next up, we have the Andersons, Ole and Arn Anderson, defeating Billy Jack Hayes, that stupid asshole, and Wahoo McDaniels in a good tag team title match. It's not the World Tag Team title. It's not the United States Tag Team title. It's some other tag team belt. 7 out of 10. Magnum TA defeats Tully Blanchard in an incredibly phenomenal fucking match. A steel cage I Quit match for the United States Heavyweight Belt. This was supposed to be the rocket ship for Magnum TA. And he was going to get shot to the fucking moon. And the moon was going to be the NWA World Heavyweight Belt at Starrcade 86. Unfortunately, about 10 months later in October, he would get in a terrible motorcycle accident that would end his wrestling career. Unfortunately, Magnum TA's career it could never peak higher than this. This was the peak of his career. Unfortunately, the accident happened, and it's unfortunate because Magnum TA, no bones about it, and I'll talk about in 1986 review, he was going to be a star, and he could have been one of the biggest stars ever. No bones about it, and this match would have proved it. This is one of the greatest matches I've ever seen, period. It's not just one of the best matches in NWA or the best cage match or I Quit match or in either man's careers. No, it's one of the best matches, period. It's a toss-up between Ric Flair and Vader and this match for the best Starrcade match ever, but this is definitely the best I Quit match I've seen. It's not hokey and dumb like that dumb I Quit match or Last Man Standing match or whatever the fuck it was between John Cena and Rusev when they were just running around the arena trying to find stupid spots to do and that's it. No, this was great. They were locked in the cage and they couldn't go anywhere and they beat the fuck at each other and it was bloody. And the visions, the imagery, God, I suck at English. The imagery between these guys was just insanity. It was incredible. It was intense. And Tully Blanchard grabs this wooden chair, breaks it, uses the broken leg like a stake, looks to drive it into Magnum TA's face. Magnum TA stops him dead in his tracks, gets the stake out of his head, beat the shit out of him, grabs the stake, grabs the broken leg, and then drives it in the forehead of Tully Blanchard. And the imagery, I am drooling over this. The imagery of Magnum TA with the stake in Tully Blanchard's head with blood dripping down their faces is fucking awesome. It's kind of that insanity part, but it's just one of the reasons why this match was so fucking awesome. It's one of the greatest matches of all time in my opinion. It's easily the best I Quit match. It's maybe the best Starrcade match out there. It's definitely the best matches. Magnum TA and the best match of Tully Blanchard. Two very incredibly underrated guys. It's really hard because Magnum TA was going to be a star. Make no bones about it. And this match proved that this was going to be the rocket ship to launch him into being the star. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. However, he definitely you can definitely look at this match and you definitely say, wow, this was the height of Magnum TA, and this showed potential in him, and this was amazing. And it's kind of sad a lot of ways because this was supposed to be leading to something even bigger, and that never happened, unfortunately. A 10 out of 10. You can't rate it any lower. There's no way in hell. I cannot give it a 9. I can't give it a 9.5. I have to give it a 10. It is the vision, the imagery is fucking incredible. Moving on back to the Omni, we have Jimmy Fallon and Lively. I don't know who this person was. It was either a man in drag or a big fat woman or a big woman. I don't know what the hell it was. Defeating the Midnight Express. I don't know who this Lively person is. I'm gonna have to look him or her up later on. But they defeated the Midnight Express. This was an okay match. A street fight. 5 out of 10. Next up, back to the Greensboro Coliseum, the actual main event. Although the U.S. title match probably should have been. But anyways, we get the World Tag Team belts, the Steel Cage match, Rock and Roll Express defeating the Koloffs in a great Tag Team World Cage match, championship match. A great match, an 8 out of 10. Then the main event, Dusty Rhodes defeats Ric Flair in the World Heavyweight Championship match. And this was a great match, but this would lead to be the first example of the Dusty finish. You know, we all know what the Dusty finish is, and this was the very beginning of it. This is why it's coined the Dusty finish. And Dusty Rhodes booked this fucking match. I just don't understand. Here's Dusty Rhodes celebrating, and then like a week later, they have to overturn the decision because of the Andersons interfering. It's bad. It has that sour taste. Maybe Dusty Rhodes should have won here. And maybe if he won here, it would have meant a lot more than when he finally did. He finally would win the world title a third time at the Great American Bash 1986. However, I feel like maybe if he won it here and not at that particular event, it would have been much bigger than when he eventually did so. Anyways, this is still a great match, a great main event. It's much better than the 84 match. It's very good. Very good. It's these two guys fucking, they knew how to work a match like crazy. An 8.5 out of 10. Overall, Starrcade 1985, The Gathering, is one of the best shows out there, period. Highly recommended to watch it. A 7.5 out of 10 is my verdict. And I catch you next time for Starrcade 1986, The Night of the Skywalkers, and no, it's not Star Wars. Bye.